I read 16 books during the month of December, so I'm going to give you guys a little wrap up of everything. And I think that I've decided I want to stay in this little space. I feel like it's cozy. I feel like I enjoy sitting here versus instead of in front of the bookshelf. I feel like it just feels very cozy. So, yeah, let's get into these. Also, let me know if you guys want to see a full like wrap up of all the books that I read in the year 2023. It feels so weird to say that because we just like stepped into 2024, but I read 170 books in 2023. So if you guys want like a full wrap up, like a quick, just like a couple sentences per book, let me know if you guys want that. But yeah, let's get into all the books that I read in December. Did you guys miss me? Now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't post a video yesterday because Bookmas is over. Let me know, did you guys miss me or are you guys happy to have a little day off? There's gonna be 3 videos a week, so you guys will still see me a lot. But yeah, let's get into this little wrap up. Make sure you guys are subscribed because there's gonna be new videos 3 days a week. The first book that I read in December was Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young, and this was my first time reading anything by this author, and her writing is super fast. Like, I feel like if you're new to reading, you'll really like Hannah Bonham Young's writing. It reminds me a lot of Abby Jimenez. I rated this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. I loved the writing. I do think that I didn't see like the connection in the 2 characters as fast as I think I would have wanted to. It almost went from like 0 to 100. Like, I feel like they were like kind of enemies and then all of a sudden they're like into each other. But I would have liked a slower progression, but a faster buildup, if that makes any sense. But I will definitely be reading more of her books. I think I read this in like a day. And then the next book that I read was Everyone's Thinking It. I rated this 3.5 out of 5 stars. Really loved the concept of this story. This was very unique, and I feel like I don't need to give like a little wrap up of each book, but I don't know. I always like question myself because I never want to give a wrap up of a book unless I like feel like it. Like, I figure you guys can just like look on Amazon if you want to figure out what the book's about. And I feel like if I'm really invested in the story, like super invested, I'll give you a little blurb. But let me know if you guys want like a little blurb of each book. I could do that. This one is about a girl who she is taking care of her younger sister, and she ends up having to live with this guy who's taking care of his younger brother, and they have like a forced proximity situation, and that's like the trope in this one. And they like start to have feelings for each other. This one was really unique. This is also by a debut author. The words and writing were really easy to read, but I kind of wish that it was a little like shorter. I feel like it was a little long, but this one is about Yanu, and her camera gets stolen and someone sends a bunch of pictures around school, and they say that she's the one who sent the pictures around school, and on the back of the pictures there's notes, and it's like telling everyone's secrets. The story was really like fast-paced, really enjoyed it. I just wish it was a little bit shorter, but overall 3.5 out of 5 stars, did enjoy it. And I can't wait to read more from this author, and this is by Alina Amotani. One thing that I want to do more of, this is like one of my reading goals for the year, is to not only read diversely, because you guys know I do that pretty well, but I want to read books by authors that are like new or maybe don't have like a ton of reviews on Goodreads, like books that no one's really talking about. So that's one of my goals this year. So you guys will be seeing a lot of books that like aren't really talked about on Book Talk as much, and of course you'll see the popular ones too, like The Art of Scandal. I finally read this book, rated this one 4 stars. It's by Regina Black. I never have watched Scandal, like the show, but I think if you watch Scandal, the show, you will really like this. This gave 7 Days in June vibes, not the storyline, but like the writing style was very similar to 7 Days in June. Very deep. A book I think that is good for like adults. I feel like if you are more of a, I don't want to say experienced writer, but like, for example, I don't really tell everyone to read like Emily Henry's writing or Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing unless you're like experienced with reading, because I feel like sometimes she adds in themes that can be like really deep or like wordy at times. And this isn't like that at all, but it definitely has a deeper like story outside of the romance. And this is about a woman who finds out that her husband is cheating on her, and she's like, hey, if you're gonna cheat on me, like I'm gonna go. And he was like, no, like I want you to stay because I'm actually trying to become, he wants to be like mayor or something like that. I think he's already mayor, but he's like running again. And he's white and she's black, and I feel like that's very important to know in the story. And he is like, you know, please stay with me because I really want to like win this like thing I'm running for, they are in like the primaries or something. Anyway, so she's like, yeah, I'll stay if you give me $1 million in the house. So they like make this agreement that she'll stay with him, and pretty much he just like does his thing. Like he's like absolute trash. And in this, she comes to like find her own, and she gets more confidence in herself because she comes kind of from nothing. I really liked this book. Again, I rated it 4 stars. I wish there was a little bit more dialogue, but overall, it was really, really good. And I think if you're looking for another good book by a Black author, this is a debut book. This is one to read. There's so much hype for this book, and I think that there's a reason for that. Again, it's written in a way that at times I wish the pacing was a little bit different, but overall the story itself I think is really unique. And it is like, it's one of those books where like when you get to be in adulthood, it's easy to just like take the easy route, and she could have easily been like, yeah, I'm just gonna like stay, I'm just gonna do this, and then she like makes this whole contract and like just topples their whole marriage on its head even after he already did that. So again, 4 stars. Then I started getting into Christmas books, and I read, oh wait, I'm actually missing a book. I read 17 books this month. Okay, I don't know how I missed this book, but I read Never before I started getting into the Christmas books. And this book I rated at 3.5 out of 5 stars. A lot of people are saying that this book is not good. I've seen a lot of reviews for it. I think if you already are in love with Jessa Hastings' writing, like you guys know I am, I literally could read her freaking receipts. Like I don't care what she's writing, I'm reading it, because her writing is so different. It's just so, it almost reminds me of like a brain dump. Like if you were just to like think things and then write them, like, and not really care how it comes out. I feel like that's how Jessa Hastings' writing like is. So I love her writing. I don't think that there's any other author who has writing similar to hers. It's just very, very unique. And I think you kind of either love it or you hate it. But this book, I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. The storyline was weird. There weren't really any likable characters, and I think Jessa Hastings does a good job of doing that, like often, where you kind of hate all the characters, and she makes them very human. But this story, I think that the writing was what really put it above the top for me. The storyline itself wasn't like incredible, but I will be reading the second book because I feel like she laid the foundation for us to potentially like someone in the next book. But I also am not a big fantasy reader, and a lot of people were excited for this because it is a fantasy. It's a Peter Pan retelling. I'm a romance girl, so through and through. So this book felt more like a romance than a fantasy, so I could see how people, if they're expecting a true fantasy, would be a little disappointed. And then I ended up reading Christmas books, and y'all, I feel like I should have stopped before I started because Christmas books this year, I wasn't really in the Christmas mood, and so I just was kind of forcing it a bit, which I'm a big mood reader and I never really do that. So it just wasn't like the smartest idea, but I read the Book Club Hotel first, and I rated this 3 out of 5 stars. It was good. It was Hallmark, it was fluffy. It was about 3 friends who were going to this hotel, and they all have their own like stories and things that they're going through. One of the moms, she is like pretty much doesn't have an identity outside of her children. Another woman who's in the group, she recently had her husband cheat on her and he like left her. And then another woman, she like doesn't want to get close to people. She's very like, you know, at arm's reach, like stay away from me, like, because I don't want to be hurt. And then the owner of the bed and breakfast that they go to has her own story. Her husband just passed away, so she's like running this bed and breakfast. So it's one of those stories where it wasn't really a romance, but it was definitely giving Hallmark vibes, and there was romance in it. And then after that, I read Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. And hey, Vane. Hi. I read Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh, and this was my first book by this author. Rated this book 3 out of 5 stars. I think that she does a good job of adding humor in her books. I was like laughing and stuff the whole time. This is about 2 friends who are trying to get home for the holidays. It was funny. It was really funny, and I found myself laughing a lot. Again, another little cute, fluffy Christmas read. Nothing crazy. Did enjoy it. And then I got into All's Fair in Love and Christmas by Sarah Monzon. And this was a Christmas book that gives like Christian vibes. So if you're looking for a Christian book, I think that this is a good one. It's not too heavy on the Christianity, so I think that anyone who's wanting to read it just for the holiday season would enjoy it. But I think they have like one conversation that talks about like the reason for the season and things like that. And then I think what I liked most about this was how sweet it was. It was just a really sweet romance, and I feel like that's what I look for in Christmas romances. And again, rated this 3 out of 5 stars. And then I read Everyone's Thinking It by Cherie Lupina. Rated this 4 out of 5 stars, and this was actually in my top like books of the year, like 23 books that I liked the best. And this book, I could not figure out who was like the bad person in it, which I love in thrillers. Like if there's a thriller that's fast paced and I don't know who like the culprit is, I'm in for a treat. And this was literally that. This is about a girl who comes up missing. She's like a young girl. And whenever she comes up missing, her whole neighborhood is pretty much a suspect, like everyone in the neighborhood, because a lot of them have had contact with her the day that she was missing. And her dad was actually the last person who had contact with her initially when she like disappeared. So that's what the book is about. I feel like it's super fast paced. This is my 3rd book by this author, and then I ended up immediately buying I think 2 more books from this author, and I already own one on my shelf that I haven't bought or haven't read yet, so I'll be reading more from this author in 2024. And then after that, I read The Christmas Wager, rated this 3.5 out of 5 stars. This was one of my favorite Christmas reads, along with another one that I'm going to share with you guys. I liked this one because it was very Hallmark, but it was funny. Like, it didn't feel super, super cliche. There were definitely things that were cliche, but this is actually a new author. And it's about Bella, who she works in LA, and she goes to this small town. I know, it's a little cliche, but just bear with me, okay? And she goes to this small town, and her big corporation wants to like buy out this small like Christmassy, what's it called, business. And the guy who runs it with his grandfather, the guy doesn't want to give it up, but the grandfather's pretty much like, well, we gotta sell, like we're gonna go bankrupt, like typical Hallmark. And they decided to make a Christmas wager that whoever wins the games that are gonna be at their town festival will get like the best deal on this like building that they're gonna sell. So I think the girl who came from LA, she wanted to sell it for like, she wanted to buy it for a low price, and they were like, sorry, we can't do that. And then the grandfather was like, well, we actually might be able to do it if you win these challenges. So it was just cute. It was really cute. I think that this would be one that I would definitely recommend for Christmas next year, and you'll probably see it in a video next year. Then I read The Royal Holiday, and I rated this 2 out of 5 stars. This is by Jasmine Guillory. I've read 3 books by this author, and I love a Black author. Y'all, I just love a Black author. I love her writing. This one didn't really hit for me. I felt a little bored. This is probably one I won't recommend, but I did notice that some of you guys said that you did enjoy this book and you read it last year. So if you want to try it for a Christmas book, go ahead. I do think that there are other Christmas books that might be a little bit better, but I do think that this author overall is an incredible author. I've read Drunk on Love, I've read By the Book, and I've also read The Wedding Planner or The Wedding Party or something like that. And I love both of those books. And then I read The 12 Dates of Christmas. I keep pulling up my phone because I always put everything on Goodreads. Like, I literally forgot that I read Never because I just literally forgot about it. And then I looked at my Goodreads and I was like, oh, I read that book. So I always keep everything on Goodreads, so make sure you guys follow me there. I update it pretty much every week. The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayless was a book that I read, wasn't obsessed with it, rated it 2 out of 5 stars. This is about a girl who goes on a bunch of dates for Christmas because she's like trying to find a boyfriend, but I just wasn't into it. I think the concept of it was great and the dates were funny, like when she was on the dates, but then whenever she was like not on the dates, I was just kind of like, okay. And then the love interest in this, I didn't really like him. He was kind of like just not very nice, and I just I need a guy who's gonna like swoon over me. Like, you cannot be mean to me, which is why I haven't read a bully romance. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever read bully romances. Penelope McDouglas writes a lot of bully romances, and I actually have one on my shelf, but I haven't read it yet because I'm like, if you're not obsessed with me, what are we doing here? You know? So I don't know. That's just not for me. But then I read You Make It Feel Like Christmas by Tony Shiloh, and I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. This one was cute. This was another Christian Christmas romance, and I think that this one was really well done. There's a lot of dialogue in this, so I feel like it kept it pretty fast paced. This one is about a girl who she's like jobless, so she has to go home for the holidays, and while she's home, she ends up having to help her sister who's getting married, and I think her sister's getting married, yeah, to her ex-boyfriend. And she, you know, just wasn't obviously the happiest about it, but she's like, that's my sister. But her sister's kind of unbearable. It really reminded me of Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop, because it's the same plot, but it was nothing like it at all. In the sense of like the writing style and stuff, but I did really enjoy this, and it was a cute Christmas read, and again, it is a Christian Christmas read, so I really like that. And then Set the Record Straight by Hannah Bonham Young was a holiday novella that I read next. Rated this one 2.5 out of 5 stars. This one was super spicy, like, and I'm like, there's not even that many pages in this. Like, why is there so much spice? It was literally 161 pages. And I feel like there was more spice in this book than there was in Next of Kin, which was the first book that I showed you guys by the same author. I thought I would really love this book. This is also a sapphic romance. And you guys know that I not only want to read diverse books by just like different cultures, but I also want to read different relationship types. But this one just didn't do it for me. I rated it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Again, it was just a spice. Like, there was so much spice. And you guys know if there's a spice scene, fine. If there's 2, fine. If it's like every other page, yeah, I gotta dial it back. And that's how I felt in this book. And I think because it was a novella, it was so short, I was just like, I'm having a hard time seeing like your actual connection with each other. So yeah, this one, I don't know. I feel like I barely got the plot of that one because it was just so short and with so much spice. The Holidays by Brittany Cherry. Read this book. Read it, even if it's not Christmas, read it. I rated this one 4.5 or 4 out of 5 stars. And I have never rated a Christmas book that high. And I think it's because just Christmas books, we know what they are. You know, they're fluffy, they're fun. Like, we're just reading it for the vibes. This book made me go out and buy like 4 books by Brittany Cherry. And so many of you guys have said, read books by Brittany Cherry. She's such a great Black author. Read her books. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm getting there. No, I should have listened to you guys a long time ago because this book was so good. If you're someone who likes because this is a holiday romantic comedy, and it's about a girl who she keeps going into this diner and bringing in all these dates. And while she's bringing them in, the guy, he's so grumpy. Oh my God, I'm literally smiling thinking about this book. He's so grumpy, and she keeps bringing them in, and he's like, you're like gonna strike out on all these dates. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you're like desperate. And she's like, I'm not desperate. And he's like, no, you literally are. Like, they're not paying for your meal. Like, they're not even like asking you questions about yourself. They're not doing this, this, and this. And so she was like, well, what would you do if like you were gonna go on these dates? Because she's like, I want a date for Christmas to like bring him home for the holidays. And he's like, well, here's what I would do. So he kind of is like her relationship coach in a way. And then he starts realizing that he actually has feelings for her. But there's so many other things that happen in this book, which I love a book that has like romance, but also a bunch of other stuff that happens. Like, his family is kind of terrible to him. Her family, she's got some drama with that, and she has some, not with her family, but like her hometown, she has some drama with that. There's just a lot of like other little subplots. It was very, very fun to read. Again, rated 4 out of 5 stars, which made me feel like if I read more books by Brittany Cherry, I can definitely see myself finding a 5-star from one of her like books, because the writing in this was really, really fun. So again, even if it's not like, if you're not in the Christmas like vibe, still read this book because it was very enjoyable. And then I reread Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, and I read the Steamy Lit book special edition. And this actually had a section in the back of the book from Elliot's point of view. If you haven't read it, please read it. There was actually more spice at the end. I was like, what? Elliot! Like, oh my God. And you guys know this is a 5-star read for me. I can't get over this book. I read it last year, had to read it again this year. I'll probably read it every year. It's just a comfort read for me. This book is about Elliot and Macy, and they have this like undeniable soulmate connection with each other. And after they get older, they kind of have something that like pulls them apart from each other. And throughout the book, you're getting a then and now timeline. So it's like an old timeline of when they're younger and then timeline in the future. And when they're younger, you see they have this incredible connection, but when they're older, they're like barely even on speaking terms. And they really aren't on speaking terms. They like haven't talked for 11 years, but then when they like reconnect, they like are barely on speaking terms. So you kind of want to figure out like what the heck happened. Oh, such a good book. Now, I will say, this is a comfort read. There's nothing like wild that happens throughout the book. It's not like one of those books that has a ton of like crazy things that pop up. I think there's like one thing at the end that's like very surprising, but this is one of those books that just makes your heart warm, like so warm. So love this, 5 out of 5 stars, and anyone that like wants to say anything against this book, we will literally fight. And then I read Twisted Love by Anna Huang, and I rated this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really liked this one. This one was a book that had a ton of stuff that was like popping up and happening. I was never bored. I read this in, I don't know, like 8 hours or something. Like I read it like all in the same day. Like I finished it super fast, and I definitely want to read the second book, which so many people say is even better than the first book. I will say you will like this book if I think you need to like spice and like a controlling man, which that's not normally like the guy that I like tend to really lean towards, but I can like appreciate him for who he is in this book, if that makes sense. That's just like not my typical guy, like telling me what to do. No, sir, absolutely not. But in the book and like the concept of the book, I still really enjoyed it. I don't want my man like that, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And again, I think that the writing is really what kept me, because it's so fast paced. It's not really deep writing. It's not hard to read. It's a very easy read. I think if you're looking for something that's quick and fast, kind of like, not like Next of Kim, because it's not like that, but it was just fast. It was very fast. I think if you like Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark, this gave a similar vibe, different but similar. I'm trying to think of books that like, maybe if you read them, that I could like compare them to these books, so you can know what you're kind of getting into. But yeah, really like this one. And rate it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then the last book that I read, which I think this was 17 books for the month of December. Rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. This one was cute. This was called Highway Holiday. I don't even think I told you what this one was about. I feel like most people know what this is about, but it's kind of like a forbidden love-ish, kind of. There's a broody guy, and he just like doesn't ever really connect with anyone, and then he kind of does connect with someone, but it's his best friend's sister. So it's kind of forbidden, but like not super forbidden. And there's a ton of other stuff that happens in the book, but that's like the main basis of the book. And then Highway Holiday was about 2 friends who are actually traveling back for the holidays to go to the female main character's house, the FMC. And while they're traveling, they both kind of realize that they have feelings for each other. This was the shortest novella. Not shortest, because I actually read Spin About You this year, and it was the same pages as this one, 56 pages. And this one was also 56 pages. But I like this one because it was just fun. There was a little bit of spice, nothing crazy. I do wish it was a little bit longer at the end. But overall, I think it was like a cute little novella. I mean, it was what it was. It says it's a, where is the front? I can't even remember what it says. But anyway, yeah, really like this one. Very cute. It is what it was what it is. Christmas romance. I'll definitely be recommending it next year. And that is all of the 17 books that I read during the month of December. Let me know if you guys want a video showing all of the books that I read in the year. I haven't decided if I want to make that or not, because it's a lot of work to take down the book, so I don't want to like make a video with 170 books and you guys like don't even want it. I do have wrap-ups every month for every single like book that I've read, but I think it would be kind of cool if I did like a short video with like, you know, very speedy with all of the different books that I've read, and a couple sentences for each one as to whether I liked it or didn't like it. If you don't want to like go to my Goodreads and scroll through 170 books. So I don't know, let me know if you guys want to see that, because I will only be making that video if you want to see it. So yeah, I will see you guys on Thursday in the next video. Bye guys.